Hello everyone, this is ETV English and I'm Santayo Tamrat with this special edition, and my guests today are from Ethiopia, Tanzania and Kenya, and we are to talk on the TVET contribution for the economy, regional integration as well as job creation, and my guests will introduce to you who they are. Thank you for joining us and stay with us. Well, thank you for joining ETV English.
Thank you very much. My name is Zaki Mbena. I'm coming from Tanzania, the land of Kilimanjaro, Zanzibar, Serengeti, Ngorongoro, and Dar es Salaam. I'm representing both public sector and private sector.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Ganana Ababa, Dr. Ganana, from Ethiopian, formerly we call it Ethiopian Technical University. Currently it's called Technical and Vocational Training Institute, and I am chairing the technical working group from Ethiopia in the work of harmonizing the regional East African qualification framework and occupational standard.
Okay, and my third guest.
My name is Tom Mulati, Director of Technical Education, Minister of Education in the Republic of Kenya, and we are in charge of oversight and supervision of TVET in Kenya, both public and private institutions, and ensuring that TVET responds to the Kenyan needs.
Let me start my first point with the status of the development of the African or just East African TVET sector. How do you describe that?
I'll give a perspective of Tanzania for that sake. TVET is an ongoing growth in the country. It's we all understand from the African history how our people have been involved in hand-involving aspects in different activities. But now TVET is coming in to formalize, to bring more skills to people and making them more productive and enabling them to participate in economic activities, but also having a meaningful share into the economic activities of the country and of the region. So the stage where TVET has reached in Tanzania, and this is what we're sharing also in this engagement, it is that special role where the majority, especially the youth, are equipped, they are skilled, they are given hands-on ability to participate effectively in economic activities. And these, of course, are centered from all strategic economic sectors, be it in manufacturing, be it in the transport sector, NHICT, you mentioned, even agriculture for that matter. So they're equipped with more skills that enable them actually to be employable, but also to be able creatively to have their own small and medium-sized, even large-scale enterprises that can hire, employ others. But also it has got a special role in the initiatives of the country in Tanzania, where we want to become a semi-industrialized nation by year 2025. So the whole development of the TVET sector and its inculcation into the education system actually charges on or enables the participation of a bigger chunk of the community. We all understand that Africa, Tanzania in that case, it's a young generation, it's the majority. So when you equip such a special group in the community, you're ensuring participation, but also address other issues which are social and economic, such as lack of employment in the country.
Well, that's good. Well, let me come to Ethiopia, then to Kenya.
Okay, same question?
Yeah, the same question.
TVET, generally, when we look at TVET in terms of East African countries, almost all East African countries and the other African countries used to follow an input-based TVET system. And the focus was on delivering training to people, and after they graduate, it was up to the graduates to search for jobs. But now we are all working toward this outcome-based TVET system, which we call it competency-based TVET system, where we base our training on the labor market demand. So we look into the labor market demand, and based on the demand of the industry, the demand of the employers, then we deliver training to our TVET trainees. And we are trying to minimize the mismatch between the supply side and the demand side, so that whenever our trainees graduate, they don't get problems in terms of getting employment, either to be self-employed or to be engaged in wage employment. So TVET is contributing a lot to the employment of our graduates. And nowadays, especially East African countries, we are working together to harmonize our qualification framework and our occupational standard. When I say occupational standard, it's a standard which is set based on the demand of the industry, the type of competencies which are required by the industry. So almost all East African countries are moving towards this competency-based TVET system, which facilitates employability of TVET graduates. So concerning its contribution to the economy, I think it's better to come later.
So how about just you from Kenya, the Kenya's experience?
The experience is that TVET is a great solution to Kenya's development agenda. It is really responding, and it is actually the key pillar in Kenya's industrialization, and is also very good for socio-economic development. We have seen it really helping us in terms of developing the industry of the manufacturing and the agriculture and the health sectors. We are also seeing it as also helping us in terms of societal values and principles. It has helped us reduce the number of youth who are idle and therefore vulnerable to all sorts of hazards. And we therefore have really seen TVET as a key enabler to all the government is doing in terms of development. And we have really mainstreamed TVET. Also with the realization that Kenya tourism used to be the greatest foreign earner. But with the time we are now seeing that the youth that get skills in TVET, when they go out even in the diaspora, they are the greatest income earner to Kenya in terms of foreign domestic exchange. And therefore we are really valuing this TVET, and we want to really expand the sector so that it can really respond to the development agenda that we have. Thank you.
In line with this there is the African Union agenda for the TVET sector. So do you think that in your respective countries TVET sector plans made their goals or the targets set so far? For example, when you evaluate or see the past 10 years or so, in terms of both boosting up the economy or contributing to the economy and also creating jobs?
Yes, the TVET agenda in Kenya is responding to what the AU Development Agenda 2063 has put in terms of TVET. We have really tried to increase the number of institutions so that we can enhance access. We are trying to invest in equipment so that we can improve the quality. We are trying to work with the industry so that we can address issues of relevance, so that curriculum is developed in the industry. When we are implementing also, we have our trainees working with the industry, going to the industry for internships. And then in the assessment also, we are involving the industry, and therefore we are sure of relevance. And therefore, in the long run, we see TVET really responding to the AU development agenda, because the employability rate of the TVET graduates compared to those of university has really been found to be higher. And this has really caused even trainees, students who finished secondary school, who would have otherwise joined university directly, opting to start at TVET level because of the employability rate. And that alone has already signaled the fact that the shift is focusing now on employability, and we are seeing a greater need for TVET. All that we are required to do is to do greater communication and advocacy so that the youth can be able to understand the environment where the world is moving to, so that the youth can be able to appreciate the kind of skills which we are offering, and they change the attitude so that they're willing to work.
Well, that's good. So let me come to Ethiopia.
Yeah, in our case also, in fact, the African Union Development Agenda is being supported by the TVET sector. As we have said earlier, TVET is contributing to economic development of these nations which are found in Africa, including East Africa, as well as Ethiopia particularly. So if we take the case of Ethiopia, formerly the number of unemployment was a little bit higher than what we see these days. It's because of the contribution of TVET. People are getting trainings, hands-on trainings, so they are skilled, so they can either create their own jobs, and they can also engage in other employment aspects. And they are earning their living. They're supporting their family. Not only that, they are also contributing to economic development of the country. So it's bringing a big advantage to economic development of any country, including Ethiopia. They are, for example, those TVET graduates are now attempting to substitute foreign products. They are producing some machinery, some productive tools, which has a very great impact in economic development of a country. So it's bringing, I think, a big change into the economy.
My central point here is that based on just as per the country's target?
Of course, if we take Ethiopia, for example, we have identified priority areas, priority economic areas like manufacturing, agriculture, ICT, and other related areas. And these people who are coming to the TVET sector, they are getting appropriate training as much as possible. In fact, as I have said, because of our own development level, we cannot satisfy the needs of each and every trainee, but as much as possible, the priority is given to the sector. Now, as you know, in our case, the TVET sector is under Ministry of Labor and Skills, and that shows that the government is giving emphasis to the TVET sector, and as much as possible, the government is budgeting this sector as much as possible, and as long as it is budgeted, it's getting financial support from the government. Then the institutions, they work on that. They give training in accordance with the need of the industry, the labor market. So it's contributing to the economic development, which is related to the national agenda also.
I see something positive about just creating jobs, contributing to job creation as well as to the economy. Now let's move on to another big point, which is just the gaps identified within the TVET. So what do you see as gaps that must be addressed so that this sector can contribute better to the economic development of the region and also creating more jobs?
Tanzania and our economy, Tanzania is not an exception when it comes to economic development that I realized and the role played by TVET. But we can all confirm the fact that it is a new phenomenon, especially when it comes to the appreciation of that, and even the fact that the governments of our countries, but also the training institutions are putting more value or more importance to TVET as a sector. What has been realized in the past 4 or 5 decades is that more focus was on the higher tertiary learning, where more professionals with masters, PhDs, doctorate degrees were released to the market, to the labor market. But there was a gap. The technical people were missing. The people who have hands-on skills that can transform the technology or the strategies or the plans that are devised by the higher learned professionals. And this was hitting badly on the economic activities, while the reality on the ground was such that skilled people were needed at the hands-on level that can actually translate development or technological advancements into real outputs, into real goods, into real services. So now TVET and investment behind TVET is coming to address that. And the gap, of course, which variated or differed, make it different from one state to the other, or from one economy, let's say from Tanzania, as how different it is in Kenya, and how is it different or practiced in Ethiopia, are now addressed through this mechanism or this tool that we are bringing in place, the framework that will now make it easy for the transfer or the movement of skills, the movement of the learners and the trainers. So it's addressing that. But also, this is so much in sync with the actual demand of the industries and the market. This is the TVET or investment, giving TVET that importance, is addressing the real needs of the industries. These countries are into industrialization. They are going into value addition of their production levels. People are no longer, or governments are no longer interested in exporting raw products. We want materials, if it's cotton, if it's leather, it should be processed in Ethiopia. It should be processed in Tanzania. Then finished goods are then given out to market. And this will make our economies more competitive, having meaningful participation in the global ecosystem of business, but also into trade and integration. So the coming of TVET, it's a real solution. But also, we had a big mass of people who could not pursue a formal high learning structure that will take them to the first degree, second, or even doctorate. You know, it is a pyramid. Very few people were finding that way through. What does it mean? The majority were left to be non-productive, and they were left in the economy, and they became more dependent, and they are burden to their households, they were a burden to the country, they were a burden to the community. So now TVET is coming to unleash this potential in the youth, give them the skills to process the agricultural products, giving the ability to work at the factories where leather shoes are made, being able to add value to the goods. So this, to me, is a masterclass. It's a masterpiece. It's a resolution, not only to individual countries, but to the region. And the participation of this community will be bigger. But also, these economies aspire to go for global and regional markets. We need to have qualified, skilled individuals investing in the human capital so that they are able to really see the value into the regional economic setup, having quality export products. How do you arrive at that if you don't have a person who is qualified to operate a machine? Technology is advancing fast, pretty fast. And even the well-established economies of the Europe, like Germany, are from the vocational trading skills that people have. So they are making people more productive, more engaged, but also resolving the actual problems and challenges facing the industrializing economies of our country. Thank you.
That's really great point. So let me come to the case in Ethiopia. I saw that you have got a very good experience here just in Ethiopia as well as just East African. So what gaps did you identify so far? Before 5 years, there was just a study revealed by the Japanese Institute, and which identifies there is a gap difference between what's demanded by factories and the labor market and what the TVET sector of the country is producing. There was just a skills gap between the two. So please tell us whether that gap was just bridged or so.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very nice question. In fact, the governments in East Africa and in the other countries, even globally, attention is being given to the TV sector, unlike the former days. But still, there are challenges that we have to pass through. Like one of the biggest challenges that we have in our country, for example, not only in Ethiopia, in fact, the experience of other countries also tell us the same thing. The attention that's, the image that society gives to the TV sector is still under-expected. So, as my brother Zaki said, people are striving to get into universities instead of getting into the TV sector and having hands-on practices and join the world of work. So the image is one bigger issue that we are having, which needs to be addressed. Societal image. People, even including parents, even political leaders, sometimes they just seem that they like the TV sector and they want to support it, but in reality, we don't see that. In terms of financing, for example, the budget which is allocated to higher institutions, to universities, to general educations, is much higher than the budget that is allocated to the TV sector, in fact. Contrary to that, the TV sector is budget intensive, it's resource intensive. It needs a lot of budget. So that's one big challenge that is related to the image of the societal image toward this TV. And the other one is the financing, as I have said. It's a budget-intensive sector, resource-intensive. It needs machineries. It needs human resources that support the sector. But still, budget deficiency is there, which is affecting the quality of the training which is delivered by institutions. Not only that, even whenever we talk about TVET, we cannot talk about TVET only from the supply side. The demand side is also there. The industries, the employers are there. The employers have not internalized the importance of TVET. They are expected to engage in delivery, in the delivery itself, in the training itself. They are expected to support the sector financially. They are expected to conduct assessment of the quality and the relevance of the training, but it's not that much. We have, in our experience, for example, we have what is called cooperative training, which is similar to the dual system in Germany. We want to deliver training in the industries, especially like the majority of the training is supposed to be given in the industries. And the training institutions are supposed to deliver basic trainings. But what's happening is opposite to that. The industries are not that much interested to accept students to deliver the training, to engage them in the training. That societal image also has impact here on the industry itself. So the industry is not that much willing. And because of that, we have mismatch still. The demand and the supply, we couldn't avoid that mismatch between the supply side and the demand side. That's related to the contribution of the industries. We do not have much industries. In fact, if we had bigger companies which could absorb many trainees, as in terms of apprenticeship, for example, we could have resolved that problem. But we don't have big industries. In our case, in Ethiopia, for example, the industries that we have are small and medium enterprises. Most of them are like that. And they cannot accommodate many trainees to deliver the training. So the contribution of the private sector, the engagement of the private sector in the TVET delivery, in the TVET system, is one challenge that we are having which needs to be bridged. So these are the bigger challenges that we are facing.
So let's hear from Kenya.
Well, I wouldn't wish to really repeat, but I want to really say that just like my colleague has put it, in Kenya also we are having a challenge with the perception of TVET, which we still have to address through communication and advocacy so that the youth can get to understand what TVET is leading them to. That is something that we also have seen as a gap. The issue of the private sector, the industry is participating in the training and supporting the training is also another gap that we have identified, and we are really seeking a lot of collaboration from the industry so that we can be able to train together, and in that way we produce graduates who have skills or hands-on training. We have also realized a gap with the trainers, and we intend to enhance the trainers through continuous professional development. And we are also looking forward to some of the industry players coming in to provide hands-on training so that in that way we are able to complement each other and ensure that the graduates have the hands-on skills. The other gap, of course, we have realized is that of the affordability of the fees which is required, but the government has come in with scholarship to give to the students so that they can be able to access and afford their TVET training as they require. And also I will wish to mention the fact that we also have identified a gap in that we need to do a lot of labor market analysis, labor market information, so that we are able to see how the skills are comparing to each other, how we are linking one to another. Obviously, in an industry, you want a graduate who will be there below. You'll find that you have other technicians, maybe at the diploma level, and then also other technicians at craft and at various skills level. And therefore, for us in Kenya also, it is important for us to go in for the 2-year courses, but it's also important for us to go in for the short skills for 6 months, which will also be able to supplement the entire working system in any production line. And therefore, we are also focusing on short skills, which the youth can get, and they can use that to earn a living, and they can also be productive. So I think there are quite a number of gaps, and they have been alluded to by all the presenters who are here present. All that we need to do is continuous focus so that we can be able to turn around our economies in our countries and be able to prosper, because the time is now. Thank you.
My next question also starts from you. And Africa needs just to export quality products to the global market, but these products must be competitive enough, as my brother Zaki said. So what should the TVET sector do in order to enhance the manufacturing sector so that the regional countries can export quality products to the global market?
Well, for us to export quality is extremely important, and therefore anything that will enhance the quality of the products, because on markets, normally it is the issue of the quality, and it is important for us to focus on the quality of the training. It is also important for us to focus on the quality of the skills that we put into the trainees, so that they can be able to deliver in terms of manufacturing. Manufacturing is rather large. It requires a lot of support between government and private sector, a good policy framework, so that we can be able to mature stage by stage. What do I mean by this? We can start by manufacturing every small good that we don't need to import, but later on we mature then to even the greater goods that are of higher value also through stage by stage progression of our productivity. It all requires a lot of concerted efforts in ensuring that there is a correct policy framework, there is correct incubation of the use that are being used in the production lines. The industry is working with the government in a manner that can really spur quality products which can be able to compete on the global market. Once the goods compete on the global market well, then we are able to sell. Thank you.
So what more recommendations do you have regarding this so that the TVET sector can contribute for quality maximization of exportable products to the global market, so that Africa can, the regional countries can benefit a lot from this sector?
Well, there are quite a number of steps or measures that need to be taken within the framework of TVET, but also within the wider manufacturing sector that is involved. To begin with, it is to do with the skills. You see, they say garbage in, garbage out. So the more skilled people we have in place, they'll be more handy and more capable of coming out with an output, a product for that matter, or a service that will be appealing to the global standards. So we need to start by ensuring that our TVET training and transfer of knowledge comes out with competent, skilled people that are ready to deliver. And this starts by appreciating the global approved standards of TVET, which are of course already addressing the needs of the markets at the global level. If you're targeting a global market with your products and services, you should be able to have the processes, steps and standards that match the global market. So our standards, and this is exactly what we're doing here in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, to make sure that our TVET skills, be it on training, inculcating the knowledge, but also the final outputs are at the global level. Of course, we are customizing to our regional needs, but they should be able to attain that global approved standards. That's one. But also we need to make sure our training, the content of our knowledge that we're imparting to the people are not obsolete. They should up to speed. They should be to the state of art according to the world. If you have a very good framework, say on the TVET, on the training, and you are imparting on people the skills that are 20, 30 years back, what are you ending up with? Whatever we'll be producing will be less competitive, will be highly priced, and will not match the actual needs in there. So it's a matter of fact and necessity to make sure that TVET upscales and have regular review of our syllabus, our training content, but also even the methodologies we're using to inculcate in our people the knowledge that's needed. But we can't run away from the fact that all these are policy driven. There is the administration part of which involves, of course, the public sector, the government, but also the private sector. And they all need to appreciate this fact. The governments need to come up with conducive policies and regulations that will attract actors, including those who are going to benefit from TVET, to see value in it. If you have a system in a country whereby a graduate with a technical skill is recognized, receives remunerations or salaries that are matching his inputs or her inputs to the production activity, but also you have a market that appreciates domestically produced commodities. That's a good start. So it's a call for countries to start having those policies that appreciate it, so that it should be a different. If I'm using fine leather shoes that are made in Ethiopia, the government insists on having that appreciation. You see, so together, the manufacturing from private sector, majority of which are in private sector, will now seeing value, the return on their investment towards the use of the skills. But also it goes beyond, which is, again, very important. It is work out of what do you mean by export. In many cases, people refer to export thousands of kilometers away from where they are. Are we appreciating our regional markets? Something that's across or out of the boundaries of Ethiopia is export already. So we should appreciate the regional markets. So integration of our markets, both for products and services, is quite important. So I will recommend even our member states or countries and even the market itself to start vying or going for neighboring markets. COVID-19 is a very good teacher to us. It trained us that depending on far-fetched overseas markets doesn't work all the time. It's not an all-weather approach. The immediate markets were the ones that sustained our economies during the COVID lockdowns, right? Sure. So it's high time we find ways to meet and service our immediate markets. That's why we need to have TVET framework and skills that will make a gentleman from Addis marketable in Nairobi and being able to work in Dar es Salaam smoothly. And that is on the skills we give them, but on the framework that appreciate them and even rewarding them. It should be easy for me to decide overnight, I want to work in Ethiopia. I want to come to Ethiopia and establish my enterprise. Or I'm able to accommodate learners from either of our countries. So this is important. Our own regional integration and appreciating each other's capability.
By the way, these three countries are just working through a project called S-Trip.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is that S-Trip project, and what is the significance of that project for enhancing the sector?
The point is that regional, it's East African. Yeah? So that regional feel when it comes to having people who are skilled enough to have meaningful input in the sector, in the areas, having their education which allow them to actually activate or operate in any of the countries. And this is purely the whole essence behind having a regional feel, a regional understanding of our standards, of our values, but also of our mechanism of evaluating or ranking, qualifying our work, our inputs. So it's quite an important aspect, a very important aspect or a driver towards harmonized or even regulated mechanism within the region.
So do you think that it can help regional cooperation?
Very much so. And this is a very good start because it starts with people. Investing in human capital, it's fundamental to any other level that you want to achieve. And it is our wish, actually. We have more members participating under the ESTRIP project, but also even shaping the way other member states within the Eastern Africa or East Africa, and even beyond East Africa, to be able to adapt and appreciate the great work that is done under ESTRIP.
My next point to Ganana is the same, but please start with what S-Trip is.
S-Trip is a project which is financed by the World Bank, and its major intention is to bring about regional integration. Whenever we say regional integration, now we are working on East African Qualification Framework, for example. It's all about recognition of qualifications. For example, if we have someone in Ethiopia with a bachelor's degree, currently, if that person goes to Tanzania or Kenya, it's very difficult to recognize his bachelor's degree because we don't know whether that bachelor's degree in Ethiopia is in alignment with that which is given in Tanzania or Kenya. But whenever we have a common qualification framework as a reference, then we can equate, we can see the relationship between the qualifications in Ethiopia, qualifications in Tanzania, and qualifications in Kenya. So people can easily move from one of these countries to the other, and can get hired, can get training, or even can deliver trainings. Whenever we talk about regional integration, one aspect of this regional integration is students' mobility, trainees' mobility. Students in Ethiopia can go to Tanzania or Kenya and get training there because their training here in Ethiopia is being recognized by the other two countries. Therefore, students can move from one country to the other and can get training. Not only that, trainers also. Trainers in Ethiopia can go to Kenya and deliver training, can go to Tanzania and deliver training. Not only that, whenever we look at its economic impact, if we have a workforce in Ethiopia who is qualified in automotive technology, for example, that person can go to Tanzania and get recognized and get employed there and work there. Therefore, it brings about regional integration. Currently, we are talking about East African Qualification Framework, and we are also working on harmonizing the occupational standards that guide the training. Therefore, it contributes a lot to the regional integration. So the essence behind ESTRIP is bringing about this regional integration among these three countries, and in the near future, I hope, it will also include the other East African countries, and it can move to the continent, African continent also through time. So its intention is to bring about regional integration currently.
Finally, let me just hear some recommendations on this regard from my friend from Kenya.
Well, my addition is that this project is an eye-opener to all the countries which are involved, and that skills activity is the way to go. It is enhancing the aspect of the quality of the training. We are having a lot of capacity building also incorporated in it, and this will go a long way in creating awareness in our countries that TVET, well supported, it can take us to the next level. We are all in the, some of us are in the East African community, we are also in the Northern Corridor, and all other economic blocks that we can talk of in Africa. But these blocks are majorly talking about human resource movement. They're also talking about goods and services, and therefore ESTRIP is targeting that so that we can have free movement of labor, quality labor, of course. That's the only labor that can move, and goods and services also can be able to traverse, because as we are aware, TVET has to do with production, and most of the production really has to go even beyond our borders, and therefore there is adequate opportunity for us to invest in TVET. So this project is aimed at seeing us have regional integration, and thereafter, of course, even globalization, as we know very well that the world has become a small village, and really to confirm that when you go there in Europe, you'll still find youth from Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania working there, and therefore that means that the skills can take them anywhere and they can earn a living, and therefore we have a great opportunity of employment than any other continent because of the youth that we have, if we invest well in them. Just like we are seeing China having a high population of the youth and giving them skills, and trying to really do a lot of investment in Africa. In the same way also Africa, if we give our youth the skills, we can be able to export them to the outside world. We have seen it in Kenya, the United Kingdom seeking nurses for recruitment, and therefore this means that if we train well, our skills can transcend the borders. If we train well, our goods and commodities can transcend the borders. Thank you.
Dear viewers, this is our special edition. I've been just talking to guests from Tanzania, Ethiopia, and Kenya on the technical, vocational education and training sector's contribution for the economy of the region, as well as for job creation. Thank you for watching us. See you another time.